this might be a bit of a dangerous game to play. You might completely disagree, but with Saturday, is there an argument to say that when the red card comes around for Barnsley, that actually you're immediately a bit worried because you're just feeling we're not quite ready for this yet? And if you can, I don't know, if you can put Saturday's game to one side, that's actually quite useful ahead of the games you've got coming up, or is that a dangerous way to look at it and you have to throw Saturday into the mix?
I probably think it's looking a bit too deeply into it. I mean, if you offered us the opportunity to get ourselves back in the game, and you know, the immediate aftermath of the red card was that we came on really strong to finish the half. So you certainly can't say at that moment you don't want that to happen. However, when you do look at it, you know, that's happened twice for us against them. There's not many teams in the league you'd probably find it most difficult against to be behind in the scoreline and players down. And they got stronger and more aggressive second half with the changes that they made. So they make it very, very difficult for you to create chances against anyway. They've got a defensive record that's very strong. We had more chances as the game went on, but the period just after half time is where they'd really rallied and got themselves into a good position in the game. And the second goal makes that a much harder task for us. They're very, very good at what they do, hence why they are where they are. And they're very hard to create chances against and keep a lot of clean sheets. So we always knew that was going to be a tricky situation. I don't think there's any argument with the red card. I liked our response to it in the immediate period going into half time. It gave us a real encouragement. And then the frustration is that it doesn't turn out quite how you want it to. Obviously, they are able to change the way they do things, and there's some excellent options on the bench to bring on and change their team. So yeah, frustrating one to finish, because the second goal obviously makes that task harder. But in the big picture, it's a tough game anyway, and we've gone Ipswich, Barnsley taking a point, so not too bad. We know where our points need to come. We know in the context of the season that we play everybody in the bottom 8 of the table, and that's where we need to make sure we are super competitive and get points, knowing that on a given day we can take points off the others, and knowing that as the season ends or comes to a conclusion, you can get some very random results in the last 6 weeks of a season for a whole host of reasons. So it sets us up for this week, knowing that the optimism that we gained from Lincoln and Ipswich isn't gone from us, certainly, and we know that we're going to go and attack the 2 games at home this week and try and get as big a point return as we can.
With Tuesday night, I know we had a few of these, certainly in the promotion season, when you had COVID messing things up, the weather, whatever it might be, where you'd almost approach a game and say, we just find a way to win. And it became a bit of a calling card in that you turned out to be really good at that. And quite a lot of the wins in that winter period of the promotion season were like that. Can you draw on some of that spirit for Tuesday night?
Maybe to some extent. Obviously that's in there as a learning and a lesson, but we're a very, very different team now to that team then. So as a team you can't really gain on too many of those experiences, because if I talked about that, half the players will be looking back at me thinking we weren't even there, Bonds, I don't know what you're on about. So I think we have to relate it to us, and we've got to draw on our own experiences as a team, and this is a team that's very different from even 6 weeks ago. So we are adjusting, transitioning, learning very, very quickly in the games that we've played, and we've seen some good signs in the last sort of 3 games. I think the weekend didn't go the way we wanted it to in terms of taking something from the game, particularly given that we had an hour to try and force the issue against the 10 men. But I think what we got now is an opportunity with 2 home games that, you know, a lot of our points this season have come at home, and we'll need a real energetic, enthusiastic, attacking, optimistic performance where we're brave to go and take the game to them. And try and come out with as good a point return before we take on the 2 away games next week.
Yeah, I suppose part of the thinking really with that question is you look at Cheltenham's record. They've struggled to score goals. The atmosphere for the Ipswich game the other day, brilliant at the Abbey, but perhaps one of those matches where fans will be sitting there and might have to be patient. There'll be perhaps tough moments in the game where it's a bit of a tough watch.
Yeah, I think so. I think when you look at the context of games are different, aren't they? When we play a Shrewsbury, Sheffield Wednesday, Barnsley, they're very good at what they do. They're almost a version further down the line of what we are. So we can find those games particularly difficult. We had a run of games, I think November time, that we found tough, where we were the dominant team with the ball. And then the games like the Ipswich game are what we've really, you know, achieved high levels in, and those sorts of games can suit us when we play at home. So there's a whole host of things. We'll probably face a slightly different game tomorrow. Cheltenham are a team that might allow us a little bit more of the ball, that will counter-attack very, very well, that have got good footballers themselves, and we'll have to make sure that we make good use of the ball and we're as creative and dominant as we can be, and we find more moments than we did at the weekend to penetrate and to play forwards and to be a creative force in the game when those opportunities come. But yeah, I mean, much like the game, you know, on Saturday, there's very few chances in the game. We had the better ones, and we had the better quality of chance than they did, and we're limiting teams very well at the moment, which is good, and we need to just add that extra layer to go and get results, because points are important, but wins are really important, and we've got to chase those games a little bit, certainly this week in these 2 home games, and see if we can put ourselves in a good position come 5 o'clock Saturday.
With the injuries, bit of the story of the season really, that James Brophy in the new shape, he'd had 2 really good games and then goes and picks up a knock. Yeah,
I mean, brilliant for Willow. I mean, he doesn't tend to play as a wing back so much. This system suits him a bit more as a third centre half. So he did a job for us on Saturday, which we appreciate. And Liam had to go over to the left hand side, so we lost a little bit of the penetration that we needed in the game. Rose felt his hamstring. I think it was 95th minute against Ipswich when he put the burners on and beat Wes Burns to the ball to win a throw-in the far corner. So we're hoping that's settled. He's been on the grass the last few days. And we are hopeful we'll find out this morning if he's okay to train and then take part in the game. But it is going to be later this morning that we'll know the outcome of that. So hopefully he can play a part tomorrow night, because he's an important player for us, certainly in this shape.
Is that one of these ones where you want to be ultra careful, because the worst case scenario is he goes in too early and then it becomes a lot worse, so you just have to trust the medical team on it?
Yeah, and him a little bit. I mean, the timing's really important for this one. I mean, had it been a couple of weeks later, then we might have had a couple of other players in that position available. But as it stands, like we are where we are, that position's caused us a few problems this year. So yeah, we'll see how he is this morning and see whether we can do it. If he's got a chance, he'll be in the team, because he's important for us. So we'll certainly roll the dice with that if we get the chance. But we've got to make sure he's able to do that, because, like you say, we can afford not afford having any longer term ones really with where we are at the moment. And yeah, the accumulation of those injuries is taking its toll a little bit. But we are where we are, and looking forward to hopefully putting a team on a pitch that can get us a positive result tomorrow.
And with Fajiri, still just feeling under the weather for him?
No, Fajiri's felt his hamstring back end of last week, which is very frustrating for him and for us. So we have to obviously keep an eye on that now and see where that's at. We're waiting some scan results. It's the opposite one to last time. So yeah, very, very frustrating. He was excellent when he came on against Lincoln and had got himself into a really good shape again. But it's a bit of a pattern for him with recurring injuries or just another injury. Not so much recurring ones, they've been individual ones, which is obviously sometimes what can happen when you've been out for such a long period of time. So yeah, it might prove costly for us and for him. So we're very, very gutted for him and with that situation. But by the next time we speak, sort of Thursday, I imagine I'll have an outcome as to the severity of that.
Yeah, so really tough on him. And as we were saying the other day, tantalising, because when we have seen him, he's been absolutely what you've needed, but obviously it's no good for anyone if he can't get out on the pitch.
No, exactly. So we'll just see how that one plays out, and yeah, as soon as we know where we are with that, will give us a little bit of certainty of what we've got to play with and what we can do with the team. So yeah, frustration, but there you go. That's where we are. So we've got to get on with it.
And with some of your ones that have been back in light training, the likes of Harrison or Liam, any chance of squeezing onto the bench for Tuesday night, or is that a bit soon?
No, I don't think any of those will be on the bench in the next fortnight for sure. I mean, the lack of training sessions in the next fortnight causes them a little bit of an issue, because we'll train so little between the number of games that we've got as a large group. They'll end up doing a lot of smaller or individual stuff. But they're working harder, Steve said as well. And George Thomas as well, getting closer and closer. So George may have some part to play in that period of time, but he'd be the only one. The others we'd expect to be later on in the month by the time we see their return.
Cool, that's great for me.
Hi Mark, on Fajiri, I know you'll give us more of an update on Thursday, but is there any indication of timescale that you can give at this point?
No, not at the moment, no. I will know where we are Thursday, so I'll be able to give you as accurate a picture then.
Did everyone else come through Saturday okay, and are they available for tomorrow?
Nibsy got nailed in a tackle right near the end and his ankle ballooned up, so we're waiting to see how that is. He left in a boot on Saturday, just protection really, so there's still swelling in that yesterday, so we'll check in on him this morning and see whether or not he's able to do anything, but that didn't look great after the weekend, so we'll just we'll monitor that one this morning and see whether he's an option or not.
You and Cheltenham are obviously the lowest scorers in the division so far this year. Do you believe that tomorrow night will be a low scoring game as a result?
Who knows, but you've just set it up as an absolute belter. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we can be a team that is a creative force in the game and can get on top of the game. High scoring or low scoring, I couldn't give a tosh as long as we win the game. You know, we've got to win games, that's where we are in the last games. You want it to look a certain way, you want it to be dominant, you want it to be free-flowing and high-scoring, but I don't think anyone will care if we get the results that we need. So ultimately, that's the main thing in the weeks ahead. We've got a fortnight now where we play 4 games, or even if you look ahead, the next 10 games, there's a lot of games in there that we know we can take points from. I'm sure other teams look at us and say the same, but we've got to find the encouraging signs that we found in the last 3 games, particularly the home game at Ipswich, and back that up with another really high level performance, because we're capable of doing that. We're capable of winning games against teams in this league, and it's time for us to do it now, because this is the big moment for us. These next few weeks are going to be really pivotal for us.
Is a point good enough for your side tomorrow night?
Won't know until the end of the season. The number of points we need in the 17 games is what matters. We want as many wins as we can. A point per game might not be good enough, so in the end we need more wins, but where those points come and in what order doesn't really matter as long as we get the total number. So until the end of the season, you'll never know what the turning points were, what the big results were either way. What we do know is we've got to dare to win, and we've got to try and take on some games and get more wins. As simple as that.
Are you in a position now where you're looking at win targets and points targets for the rest of the season in order to stay up?
Well, we never haven't been, to be honest. We do that every single season, in every single block of games, so that doesn't really change for us. So we know our targets, and there's a continuous timeline really that changes throughout the season. So yes is the answer, but that's no different to any period of time in the last 3 years.
Just on Lewis Simper as well, he's obviously gone out on loan to Woking. How pleased were you to be able to sort a loan like that, where he's going to be in a promotion chasing side in the National League? Yeah,
I mean, that'll create some challenge for him in the fact that he's got to get in a team that's doing really well. But Darren Sarle's done a brilliant job at Woking and took Lewis to Yeovil last season, so he's got some experience with the manager. He can settle in there quite quickly. It's a lot closer to home than Yeovil is, so hopefully it can give him a real good opportunity of playing. And if he can get in that team, as you say, the position that they're in means it's a really exciting finish to the season for him. But fundamentally, it's only any good for him if he plays. So that's his task, is to get in the team and to play games. That's what he needs now. And we think that it's a realistic opportunity for him to do that. So it's an exciting opportunity in terms of the club and the location and the situation they're in. But it's down to him to go and get in the team. And we feel that that's a fairly good fit for him to do that. So hopefully we look at the end of the season and say it's been a really successful 3 months for him.